Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in to our drought monitoring webinar series. This is going to be part 3 of our series. We do have 4 parts. We did complete the other 2, which one started back on June 3rd. That was our 4 Corners seasonal drought outlook for the summer. And we also had June 10th, a presenter of ours demonstrated the U.S. Drought Monitor and other drought monitoring tools and preparations. So that was a good presentation. Both are great presentations. So today is going to be on McKinley County FSA programs. If you're not quite familiar with them, they stand for Farm Service Agency programs. And today's presenter is going to be Mrs. Chavez. She is the McKinley County Executive Director. So I'll go ahead and have her do her introduction right after I go ahead and give our introduction right now. So my name is Mikkel Silversmith. I am the NSA project coordinator. And just so you know, Navajo Sustainable Agriculture Project is short for what we call NSA project. We're funded by the USDA Outreach and Assistance for Native Farmers and Ranchers and Veteran Farmers and Ranchers program. So the NSA main goals are basically to help producers with resources to help improve their operations, both profitability and sustainability. We deliver workshops based on the evaluations and reviews that we gather from producers attending each workshop, either that's in person or webinars such as these. You may have all been familiar with our survey and poll reports at the end of these sessions is to kind of get a feedback from you as producers, as what you want to see more here on the webinar platform or more in person. So you probably already seen several of our project partners' logos on our flyers. One of them is Dene College Land Grant Office that we collaborate a lot more frequently with. We covered a lot from herd health to castration to sheep and goat vaccinations, rangeland, restorations, and more. And so we use a lot of their help in conducting these workshops, both for livestock and record keeping and through horticulture workshops. During these workshops, we also partner with NMSU CES specialists. Some of you may have known about Dr. Ward and Dr. Gifford and all those folks that are coming from the main campus in Las Cruces. We use their expertise as well, from cattle marketing to estimating carrying capacity and so forth. And last but not least, but we also partner with COPE, which stands for Community Outreach and Patient Empowerment. You've seen their logo on our flyers as well. So a lot of expertise in horticulture are going to be more in Miss Palmer, Carol Palmer is area. So she's pretty much mainly the person that we go to for horticulture topics. Another goal of ours is to increase our producers' knowledge of USDA programs, and that's one of them. So I'm sure all of you might be aware of NRCS and FSA programs. We host virtual resource fairs to give USDA local field offices a stage to share their local programs and what they can offer and how their local producers can apply, whether they're for ranchers or farmers looking to apply for forage drought loss assistance or crop disaster assistance, to apply EQIP, all those programs under NRCS and FSA. So last but not least, we also have our goal is to help increase local fresh food production in the areas that we serve. And that is McKinley County, San Juan County, and Cibola County. For all the gardening topics and projects, we been using the expertise from COPE, Diné College Land Grant Office, and NMSU CES specialists. We've been around a couple of times during our virtual content. We do provide webinars, and we did have food preservation, garden planting, and seed selection. We have done hoop houses and soil amendments and so forth, spring vegetable gardening and more. So currently we've been providing insight on gardening in person, mainly held in Crown Point area, as well as assisting in establishing some gardening projects in BIE schools. So with that being said, that's just kind of a big old summary of who we are as the project. But I'm more than helpful or willing to share more information about our project if you have any questions. And I do have another co-host that is unfortunately not here today. So her name is Helena Deswood. Her logo is right here, the Drought Learning Network, and also the Drought Learning Network, excuse me. And she's the travel coordinator for the USDA Southwest Climate Hub. I'm going to read off of her mission. The mission of the Climate Hub is to develop and deliver science-based region-specific information and technologies with USDA agencies and partners to agricultural and natural resource managers that enable climate-informed decision-making and to provide access to assistance to implement those decisions. So the Southwest Climate Hub is located in the Jordana Experimental Range in Las Cruces. So the Drought Learning Network is a peer-to-peer knowledge exchange between climate service providers and resource managers. So the main goal of the DLN is to gather and share lessons learned from the drought events to improve responses to further droughts. Currently, we have 4 working groups: Indigenous collaborations, monitoring and impact reporting, drought and agriculture, and sharing management practices. So she's unfortunately not here today, but that is Miss Helena Deswood, and she's the other person that helped create our drought webinar series. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And, okay. Gerald, you should have the ability now.
All righty. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Gerald Chavez. I am the County Executive Director for McKinley County here in Gallup. If you don't know where we're located, we are located directly in between McDonald's and Burger King on the east side of town. So we're right next door to Verizon in Gallup. I just wanted to come on here and talk briefly about what programs we offer, what eligibility is required for those programs, and just give you guys a brief rundown of what we do, how we do it, and what we ask from producers. So a lot of the information I'm going to give you is it's going to be on our website. It's going to be on our USDA.gov website. So, I mean, you can literally go to USDA.gov, and if you want to know about, let's say you want to know about the livestock forage program, you could just put it in here, and it'll give you all the information that you need for livestock forage. So usually the top one is the best one to click on. It'll show you all the past years that we've had, what programs we've had, and old PDFs for those. So we have like, not just in McKinley County, but the whole state. So you'll see like sorghum. So that's like any type of honey, any type of sugar, cane sugar, anything that's planted in or around any direct county. So it'll bring up all that information for that direct county. So if they offer that program in that county, it'll show up here. So anything back from 2021 and 2022. But the thing I wanted to go over on here is when you go to this pops up here. Let me see if I can do this. So this 2024 LFP fact sheet. So that's what this is here. So this gives us like a rundown of like the program, how it works in an overview, the eligible counties for drought, eligible types of livestock, what type of producers are eligible, what the payments are, and if there's any payment limitations, and enrollment, how to sign up and where to. If you click on here, it'll show you where your local FSA office is. So if you're from, even if you're from Arizona, say you're from Navajo County or Apache County, you can look it up by state as well. So just be mindful that if they are from a certain county, that's the county that they have to stick with. So the rule of thumb is wherever your area of grazing is at, that's where you need to be. So if your grazing is in, I don't know, Sawmill, Arizona, you're gonna have to stay in Navajo County. You're gonna have to stay in that state. If you have two separate areas, you can choose. So say I have an area in part of San Juan and I have one in McKinley. I live in McKinley, so I'd rather work out of there. Your controlling county can be McKinley, or say you move to San Juan, you want your controlling county to be San Juan, then you let us know. And then the last page is probably one of the most important things. So mind you, from when COVID started, the price per head was severely low. Last year, it jumped from $31 since COVID all the way up to $58. So it's changed drastically since COVID started. So I'm guessing just the price per head for each type of livestock has gone up. It went down this year. I'm guessing that might just be how much it costs to sell them, to resell and rebuy and all that. It calculates all that based upon that, as well as the drought monitor for the area. And this is a national pay scale. So this isn't something that we made up based on what we do in McKinley. It's based across the whole nation. So this is the price per head for the whole nation of USA. So we do all these different types of livestock: ostrich, llamas, emus, alpacas, reindeer, elk, equine is horses, deer, goats, sheep, buffalo, bison, beefalo, dairy, and beef. So these are just like regular cows. Right here it shows you the type. So these are all the types that we have that we offer assistance for. And then it goes by weight after that. So say you have only cows and bulls, you'd go based off of this rate up on top here. If you have non-adults, say that they're not yearlings, but they are weaned and they are no longer feeding off of their mom, that would be this here. They're over 500 pounds or they're more. If they're less than 500, they have to be weaned off of their mom or eating on their own. So if they're less than a year old, but they're eating on their own and all that, you can still count them. But like, mind you, the price does go down per head for those. So the overview on LFP is that it does work, like Mikkel was talking about earlier. You guys learned about the drought monitor, the US drought monitor for the whole nation. So this program works based off of that drought monitor for the whole nation. So it triggers by county. So if the county is, it depends predominantly when drought triggers. So at the beginning of each year, when we go into the following year for 2020, because we're going to be going into 2025, when we go into 2025, state office can say, you know, hey, you know, this certain county didn't get this much rain this time, or they didn't get as much snow, so we're going to start your county off at a D3. They can make that, determine that for us, that, hey, it was severe drought, so we're going to go ahead and just make it a recommendation for you to go into D3. So payments will start off at a D3. So it does start in 5 different levels. So it goes from a D0, a D1, a D2, a D3, and a D4. D4 is the exceptional drought, where it's very high, very severe. We haven't gotten rain for the past 3 months. That will trigger for that payment rate for D4. The way the payment works is it is a one-time payment in 5 months worth of payments into one lump sum. So say that you apply right now, you apply in July, you're going to get a payment for July, August, September, October, and November. So those 5 months worth of payments are going to be into one lump sum. So you would apply once per year. All you do is just sign up. You bring in, if you have a tribal ranch lease or a grazing permit, a Navajo Nation grazing permit, we do ask for an updated tally count for that year. So depending on how many head you have on your farm, you'd go to your land board official to come out and do a annual livestock tally. And then for your tribal ranch lease, they do annual livestock tallies for their tribal ranch lease. And then you'll just need a letter. If you have a tribal ranch lease, you'll need a letter from the tribal ranch office stating the what is your status of your tribal ranch lease. Because we still have a lot of people still trying to use like COVID tribal ranch lease agreements. As long as you are making your payments to your tribal ranch lease, you're still in compliance with it. So as long as you bring me a letter signed by Cassie Smith, is usually the person that's signing off on those letters. She just writes a letter saying, hey, you know, Gerald Chavez has a tribal ranch lease for the past 6 months. She'd made her payments for the past 6 months. This is how many heads she's allowed, 50. And if you have any questions, then let me know. She knows what kind of letter she needs to send me or my PT besides that. So the eligibility wise for the program, for LFP specifically, you do have to have a grazing permit. You have to have a tribal ranch lease. You have to have a state land lease. You can have a deeded property just as long as you own it in some way, shape, or form. So as long as your name is on there or you're working on, say you're doing a transfer for a Navajo Nation grazing permit, you're going to need that probate paperwork proving that it's going to be in your name. We're just waiting for it to go through probate or through court for us to make that order. So as long as you bring me that probate paperwork, we will honor that and a tally count. And then all you need to do is, if you've never been here before, you have to sign all the new documents to get inputted into our system. We do ask for, of course, the permit, the tally. We do ask for a map, specifically where your grazing permit is at, with the township, the range, and the unit number, just so that in our system, we can track where the actual grazing permit is from. And then we need we're trying to steer away from doing paper checks because it costs more money for us to have Kansas City print them out. So we're trying to steer away from paper checks. So we're trying to get our producers to sign up for direct deposit. So if you have that direct deposit, we can take that and upload it. It only takes 3 to 5 business days to get paid through direct deposit rather than the paper check. It does take 2 to 3 weeks to get paid out. And then you just need to sign some new documents here with us and we can get you started. So that's kind of the gist of the LFP program. It's probably a very popular program. A lot of people come in and they just sign up once and then they get paid out. And then if at any point of time between your sign up and the next couple of weeks, say that you sign up now in July and then in, I don't know, maybe September, beginning of September, it turns to a D4, you're automatically going to receive another payment for a D4 status for your grazing permit. So once you sign up, it's kind of like, well, if the drought monitor changes, it goes up, you'll get another payment. It's not a guarantee that it's gonna go up, or, I mean, even if it goes down, you still have already gotten a payment. So as long as the drought monitor goes up, you'll receive another payment throughout the year. All you need to do is sign up once. I believe right now we are in a D3 status. So if it does go up to D4, the producers that have signed up already will receive another D4 payment if it goes to a D4. So that's kind of the gist of it on LFP. Like I said, you can go to our USDA.gov site and look up the program. If you want me to, I can send you the fact sheet for LFP. I can email it to you. And then is there any questions on LFP before I start on the next one?
None from me.
I don't have any questions, but thank you.
Gerald,
Yes,
this is Shirley. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
My question is, what's the percentage payout like this year now?
So it depends honestly on what, so right here it says it's equal to 60% of the either of the monthly feed cost. So it depends on what level we're at for drought. So right now at a D3, it's paying out a 60% loss. When it hits a D4, I believe it goes to 80%. And that just calculates through our system. So it automatically, even though, say, for instance, say you have a grazing permit and you're allowed 10 head on your farm. The reason why we ask for the tally count is we want to make sure that you're getting your price per head at this rate here on the 2024. So say you have nothing but cows and you have a grazing permit that says you're allowed 10 heads of cows. So if your tally count shows that you have 11, you're still going to get counted for the 10. But if your tally count says you have 9, you're only going to get counted for 9. So a lot of people think that, oh, I have 50 cows, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get paid out for 50. No, actually you're not. It depends on how much your grazing permit can take care of the cows that you have. So that's why a lot of producers, when they come in, they have like say they have a 10 head and they only bring in a tally count with one cow on there. They're only going to get paid for that one. So it's not going to go over the amount that they can have. It's going to go based on what they're allowed.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, I'm going to move on then. So the next program, like I said, you can search the program here on the USDA.gov site, but I have the fact sheet here for the next program that we have. So this one's kind of our longer running, higher paying program. It's called the Non-Insured Crop Disaster Assistance Program. Insured just means that it's basically a coverage that USDA Farm Service Agency has for its producers, farmers and ranchers that sign up for their program. So it's kind of like an insurance, but not really. So it just basically the gist of it is that we cover any crop loss that the producer has up to 50% of the out-of-pocket cost back to them at the beginning of the following year. So for NAP, right now, we are still trying to finish up 2023 payments. It does have to be over 50%. So I believe in the last time we paid anything out was back in 2020. At that time, I believe it was at 90, I want to say it was 92%. So we paid up to that 92% out-of-pocket cost back to the producers back in 2020. For 2023, we actually met over 50% by 1%. So we're paying all our producers that signed up for NAP for 2023 a 1% payment. So the way that it works is all you need to do is come in. You have to have a grazing permit. You have to have ownership of the land. You'll come in, you'll sign up. You'll have to have a farm and tract number. Based on that farm and tract number, all you have to do is just, say within that year, you have to apply, of course, but the deadline for 2025 NAP is going to be December 1st of this year. So 2024 closed December 1st of last year to sign up. So, but people can still sign up for 2025 coverage for next year. So the hard deadline for any NAP sign up is always going to be December 1st. You have to do your acreage report by December 15th of every year for as long as it's for Navajo grass for native grazing, then you have to have your acreage report done by December 15th of that year. So the way that this works is all you do is sign up. It does have to be calendar day 1 to calendar day end. So your sign up coverage covers January 1, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. You will not, if we meet the percentile of the overage of over 50%, you will not receive a payment until January 1st, 2026. That's when we start saying, we do have to ask for rain percentages and rainfall, go about with cocoa rods and find out the rain using the drought monitor, the rainfall monitor. We make sure that loss percentage, we do the calculations here in the office. So starting January 1 all the way to January 31st, we're making those calculations for all the producers that signed up for NAP. If it is over the 50 percentile, then of course we start paying, working on getting payouts for that NAP program. You do have to, it's recommended to do a notice of loss. I did talk with my district director and he did say that they don't need a notice of loss for that year. But the way that it works is so you sign up and then your notice of loss is your determination of what happened due to a natural disaster to your farm that you're signing up for NAP. So it could be any natural disaster, a volcano, a flood, hail, tornado. Typically in our county of McKinley, it's going to be drought. When drought affects your farm and it causes you to buy more hay and more feed because your natural grazing isn't growing, then that's when we say, okay, hey, maybe you need to do a notice of loss for this area so that you can get paid out for NAP for 2020. Of course, 2024 is going to be coming up at the end of the year. So it's pretty basic. All you do is sign up and then come in before the end of the year, say, hey, drought hit my farm this year. Can I do a notice of loss for my NAP program? That's it. And the rest of it is kind of up to us in the office to do the worksheet for it to find out if there is over a 50 percentile loss for that county. And then our recommendation for the, so it goes through county committee, through me, I do the calculations, I take it to my county committee members. When we send that to state office, state office can say, hey, you know what, that's not right. Let's go ahead and just, like this year, my calculations for loss was 27%. And state office came back with me and said, you know what, no, it was actually over 51%. So let's pay everybody a 1% payment. So, I mean, it can be sent back to me and I can pay another additional 1% to producers. So it just depends on how much how much rain we got that year and if it was in a severe drought for that program. So, is there any questions?
I'm good. Thank you.
And then, like I said, if anybody wants the fact sheet to read through it or anything, I can email it to you at the end. Okay, so we can move on with the next one. So the next one is going to be our ELAP program. So it's called our Emergency Assistance for Livestock, Honeybees, and Farm Raised Fish Program. So in this program, there's 3 elements that our county office works off of. So in ELAP, we have our livestock to feed program, and then we have our feed to livestock program, and we have our water hauling program. You do have to have a grazing permit for this program. The way that the livestock to feed works is, say that due to drought, you're having to haul more hay or more feed to wherever you need to go. So say that you drive up to Nappy from, I don't know, let's say Rama. You drive from Nappy all the way to Rama to go get some hay. It's about, let's just say it's 130 miles from Nappy all the way back to Rama. So it's not gonna pay you to go up there to go get the feed, it's gonna pay you the loaded miles back to your farm. So whatever feed you get from Nappy, you take it back to your home, it's gonna pay you miles loaded back home. So it'll reimburse you. It doesn't reimburse you for your feed or how much you paid for whatever you bought. It's gonna pay you for the miles that you took to go get it. So that has to be a loaded truckload. There's no specific definition of what a truckload is. You can use a flatbed, you can use a truck, you can use anything. As long as it's loaded from Nappy or wherever you go, say you go to Cortez or wherever you go to get it, it's loaded back to your home, whatever miles you have. We do recommend that you keep those receipts because you could get an audit. County committee could ask for all your loaded miles feed tickets. So we do ask that you get those feed tickets and just hang on to them because they could be audited and county committee could ask for them. That's the feed to livestock. So the livestock to feed is going to be somewhat similar, but so say you go from Nappy, that's loaded miles back to Rama. And then say you go, say you try to keep your cows in a certain area and you don't keep them in the pasture that's doing the grazing so that you can keep an eye on them. So no like wild animals can get to them, no coyotes or no mountain lions or any of that. So you take them back to close to your home and then you load them back up and take them out to the pasture. So whatever miles it is back to your home and then whatever miles it is back to the pasture, it's going to be those miles all the way around. So that's going to be the livestock to feed program. And the last one is going to be our ELAP for water hauling. So water hauling is kind of a program that we're kind of I don't want to say cracking down on people, but people think that, you know, oh, you have a water hauling program, let me go ahead and sign up. There's actually eligibility requirements for our water hauling program. So water hauling is because of an emergency. So it's in the acronym of ELAP. If your water hauling is due to an emergency, so due to an emergency doesn't mean that, hey, you know, my windmill's broken, my well's broken, my earth dam is not being kept up. That's more practice management. So regardless if your windmill goes down, regardless if your earth dams are out, regardless if your well's caved in, you're still going to have to go get water for your livestock. So we don't like to tell producers, you know, you can't apply. Everyone can apply, but there are eligibility requirements. So for signing up for water hauling, you have to provide 4 different types of evidence. So the first one is going to be your photos. So there's 4 different types of photos that you have to provide. So it's going to be a photo of your livestock. So any and all livestock that you have on your farm, you're gonna take pictures of them. The second one is gonna be your land, so just showing that, hey, there is drought out here, we haven't been getting rain. Your next one's gonna be your equipment. So any and all equipment that you use to, haul the water, it can be the tanks that are loaded up in the truck, that's fine. Any hoses you use, any barrels you use, it's gonna be those that you need to provide evidence that you are hauling water. And then the last one's gonna be what happened to your source that you're hauling water. So say that you have a dry pond that usually has water, that holds water, but it's dried up due to drought. Or your earth dam usually hauls water, say you have like 4 or 5 of them on your farm, they're dried up due to drought and they're not catching any water. If that's your main source of getting water is through your wet ponds and your wet ponds and your earth dams, then that constitutes as an emergency. If you had your grazing permit for 10 years and you're applying for water hauling because you want to get reimbursed for hauling the water, that's more of a practice management. We're not going to pay that out. So if that's how you usually get water, we're not going to reimburse you for it. The way that I like to give an example is I myself have to be at work responsibly Monday through Friday between 8 and 4:30. I have to report here whether or not my tires are blown out, my car gives up, I don't have a ride, I have to get to work responsibly. It's the same thing. You have to have adequate sources of water for all your livestock, regardless if your well's out or if you don't have access to the windmill that you were getting water from. That's something that you need to figure out on your own. A lot of producers say, oh, hey, water hauling, let me go ahead and apply. Actually, it's not for everybody. It's more in an emergency situation that you're having to haul water. So those are those programs under ELAP. Do you guys have any questions for that program?
I'm good.
Oh, I did. I'm sorry. I forgot. I left out one thing from that. So for water hauling, you do have to track how many miles you went to go get water and miles back to your home. So it's called a water hauling log. I mean, we just tell people write it on a piece of paper, what days you go, the dates, how many gallons you got, how many miles it was there and back. Or people write them on a calendar. So we do ask for that as well, because it does pay miles per gallons of water hauled. So that's the way the program works for the water hauling. That was one thing I left out. So, was there any questions for that, ELAP?
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right, and moving on. So our last one is going to be our LDP. So it's our wool program, but it's commonly known as a loan deficiency program. So it's called LDP for wool. So for McKinley County, we're only accepting wool. We are not accepting mohair to sell. So the way that it works is any farmer or rancher that has a good like wool, they shear their sheep and they go and take it to get sold. That's a good produced by their farm to put money back into their farm basically. So any person that sells wool and that gets it weighed and has a receipt, they can bring it in. They do have to sign a page 1 of the application in order to get paid out for this program. So they do have to sign an application before they sell it. So they have to sign the front and then they'll bring it back and then they'll bring us the receipt with the application. Then they'll finish up the back when they come back. So it pays right now, the rate for loans for LDP is going to be $0.40 per pound. So it has not changed in the past, I want to say 5, 6 years. It's been maintaining a 40 cent per pound weight. So say that you go in and you sell your 100 pounds of wool and you come back to us, we can pay you an additional 40 cents per the pounds that you sold. So you'll get an additional $40 for your wool that you sold. So it's pretty basic. This one you don't need a grazing permit for. This is the only program that does not require a grazing permit. So anybody can apply for this program for wool. It's pretty much simple. They come in, if they've never been here before, they'll do all the new producer paperwork and then bring in their page 1 of their wool application, sign it, go sell their wool, bring back the receipt, and we'll finish out we'll finish out the back side of page 2 and then get them paid out for that. So it's a pretty simple program. It's not too complicated or anything. So those are pretty much our 4 main programs that we have for McKinley County. They're pretty popular. And I do know right now that there's not a lot of people buying locally, but if you guys want to get the word out there, there is a wool event coming up.
That's where I was just gonna lead to.
Um,
The Navajo Nation Wool and Mohair Buy, the one that's going on next week.
yes.
So about that, when we sit down with our producers, do we just inform them that if there are new to FSA, they have to go through the whole process and getting participated in the program before they even decide to apply for the wool and mohair program, right?
So let me see, hold on 1 second. Okay, so this is gonna be the event that's going to happen next week. So I was only told that I was gonna go, I wanted to only go one day, just being that I'd rather be in the office, tending to work that needs my attention.
Mm-hmm.
I did get an email from my district director wanting me to go all 3 days. So the way that they're gonna do it is that so going into the event, they're gonna have everyone sign a page 1 of the wool application.
Okay.
They're gonna all sign it, then they're gonna all go in, go get weighed, bring out the receipt, then they're gonna do their page 2. And then it will can go from there. It's gonna be, majority of it's probably gonna be Arizona side, but they did invite us and San Juan County as well to come and help out. So unfortunately, San Juan won't be there. The county executive director for San Juan County unfortunately can't be there. So I'm gonna kind of take on his portion of San Juan. So just as long as the producer signs the page, the front page, fills out the front portion of it, we can at least get them to come in to do an appointment or have them mail them their documents if they need to sign up, or their phone number. So we're gonna be there to make sure that it all gets filled out. So, but if anybody that can't make it there or anything, they can always find their own buyer. And then, I think the only place I know of that was doing a buyback was Roswell Wool. If they can't make it to this event here in Winter Rock, they can try doing Roswell Wool and then getting an application from here. But the main point about this is that we want to make sure that producers are following through. We don't want to give them, here's the paper, fill it out, and then they're like, well, nobody told me what to do with it. So they want all hands on board for this event. They want us, I think the CED for Navajo Apache County is gonna be there. And then the county executive director for Havasupai and Maricopa County is gonna be sending some program technicians out to also attend this event. So there's gonna be a lot of people there to help if they have questions or they need help filling anything out. Well, we will be there to help them. So
So Gerald, speaking of that, meaning that you're gonna be there to do fill out the page one, is that correct? Can
Yeah.
we fill out the page one over on site in Window Rock?
yeah. And then
Okay.
it's not just gonna be about wool. I mean, we can talk to producers and say, hey, do you have a grazing permit? You could potentially sign up for these other programs besides the wool. So we're gonna try to make it more of a point to, get our names out there. It's not just about the wool. We can also have other producers sign up or make an appointment to come in. So this is kind of gonna be a big thing. But I'm gonna be driving out there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week. So I'll be there to help with the event next week.
That's great.
Yeah, so that is gonna be next week, and then I'm not too sure if they're going to host another one after that. I don't think so. So that's gonna be next week. So
Is that next event potentially in Arizona or is it coming into New Mexico?
I think it's only gonna be in Arizona because it's Navajo Nation is the one that's hosting all of it. So I'm guessing along the lines, a lot of people were, letting that Navajo Nation know, like, there's nowhere for us to sell our wool. Like, can you guys do something?
That's
about
true.
it? So this is where it kind of came up, and I've just been telling people, call over there and tell them, you guys need to host. You guys are wanting Navajos to keep doing wool weaving, making rugs, and keeping the community growing. So maybe Navajo Nation can start one. So I guess that movement took them to this. So this is all Navajo Nation doing all this and hosting this event out there. So I guess that's it on that note. I don't have anything else that I need to say. It's myself and my program technician. Her name is Hayden Pablo. So any questions that you have, she can most definitely answer them too. I always get calls saying that I want to talk to Gerald. I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm like, well, Hayden can answer as much questions as I can. So you can talk to her. She's usually here at the same time I am as well. So,
Okay.
well, I appreciate the time that I could talk. If you guys need my information, feel free to email me. If you need that information, I can give it to you. Other than that, I guess that's gonna be it.
Well,
So,
thank you, Gerald.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Mhm.
Let's see. Okay. All right. Well, that concludes our presentation for this afternoon. But if you have any questions regarding any of the programs, please contact your local FSA office. And otherwise, you guys all have a good rest of your day.